Hi, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well today. I'm glad you're able to make it to my session. I noticed that we have about 5 people who've entered information into the Google form that's listed from the resource we're going to use, this Google Doc. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and fill out that Google form, put in your information. That helps inform the session, because I want to kind of get an idea of why everyone's here, what they hope to gain from the session, and hopefully it's kind of covered during this 45 minutes here. As Ann said earlier, if everyone could keep themselves muted, and then when it's, we have that collaboration time and we're going to look for feedback, you can raise your hand and either Ann or myself can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself once we acknowledge you, and you guys could give your 2 cents, if you will. So I'm going to give you guys another probably minute to access that Google form and fill it out. We will do one of the random drawings, one person from this group to win an Amazon gift card later, and then you'll be contacted by, I think, Kelly at some point. So in the chat, go ahead and introduce yourself. If you have questions during this time, feel free to post it there for everyone to see, or if it's specifically for me or Ann, make sure you send it privately to us. And if you're waiting, go ahead and read the description to make sure you're going to get what you want out of the session. I'm kind of going to go through what I've done, and this resource here really is a guide that walks through creating custom apps for your district and then pushing them out to student devices. So what I'm doing right now is I'm giving the people who filled out the form editing access to this Google Doc. So keep that in mind to make sure you're not deleting stuff or hitting a bunch of enters throughout that. But you will need to refresh your screen to make sure that you now have editing access. So just give me one more minute to add one more person here. And that will allow me to see, your face in there instead of anonymous cricket or whatever they do. So.
In case you have about 14 in the room, just in case you need a number.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm going to get these last 2 people in there, and then I'm going to get started, and I'll try to catch up, if anyone adds extra, because I think I got 13 who filled out the Google form at this point in time. Okay, Paul, I'll get you in a second. So guys, thank you for coming to my session. It seems like a lot of people just kind of want to get some more information about kind of what I'm doing, some ideas, the basics of this app development, and it looks like we have the majority of you do not have access to the Google Admin Console. Actually, it's about 50-50. Now it's about 50-50. It's like sitting at 7 of you do have access and 7 of you about don't. So it's really beneficial if you do have Google Admin Access, because you'll be able to implement this yourself. But if not, you're probably going to have to work with your technology administrator, your integration specialist, or your tech team to get this done. So if you guys kind of scroll down, you'll see that there's a description in this document here, And kind of I've worked with actually people in this group to do this, and what I'm doing is I'm taking websites that are out there and making a custom app. So if you scroll down, you'll see that we have, this is for one of the school districts I work with, Montrose. At the bottom, you'll see apps for their Synergy, which is their SIS, their Student View. Google Classroom already exists. Here's one for Pearson Realize, Kahoot, Illuminate, which is their online assessment, Renaissance Learning, and of course, Google Drive already exists, so that's not a custom app. So essentially what I'm doing, I'm taking websites that already exist, I'm creating an icon for them on their Chromebook so that they click and it takes them directly to where they want to go. And I realize that you can do some of this other stuff like using bookmarks on Chromebooks and pushing them out. But we've had a lot of success, especially at that K2 group, where we create these apps that don't exist in the Chrome App Store so students can click and take them directly to where we want them to go. For example, this Synergy one has a unique URL, so there's no custom app for it. Same thing for this Renaissance Learning one, it went to a hosted URL. So we're just trying to make it easier on our students. And for example, Montrose, I've worked with pushing custom apps K-12. So it's not even something that just works with K2, it's just really helpful if you're repeatedly using some of these apps where we can pin them to what they call the shelf on, on the Chromebook, if you will. So this section is going to kind of be a little bit of a demo and a little bit of conversation here and there. If you scroll through here, you'll see I'm going to walk through this, and on the left-hand side, you will see this is the document outline. And if you've never seen this before, if you're in a Google Doc, you can click on the Tools, Document Outline, and things may or may not show up based on how you've created your document. For example, I've used these portions right here. I've made them headings. Headings will automatically show up over here if I'm using the headings. Sometimes if you bold, it might show up as well, but this just allows you to skip through this document without having to scroll. Okay, so you'll see I'm going to walk through what's kind of needed, what you have to prepare before you start doing some of these custom apps, and then I have it built into part A, B, and C here. Okay, so it's kind of walk through, and then at the end we have some shared resources about maybe some custom apps you'd want to create for your district. And you're going to put your name in there and so forth, and we'll use this portion at the end of our session to get 2 more of the winners for our Amazon gift cards, $10 Amazon gift cards. All right, so I'm going to go back to the beginning here. So what I want to kind of now is if there's anyone who now sees what I'm talking about, we'll kind of talk about maybe some custom apps they might want to see for their district or building or classroom. You can raise your hand, and we will have Ann give you guys the ability to speak if you're willing. If there's anyone who's willing to kind of share what now they've kind of got a little bit of what I'm talking about, might want to intermit. So is that Amanda? Are you wanting to?
Sorry. You can just go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to talk, or you can raise your hand. Either way.
Thank you, Ann. Do we have any takers here? Okay, Keith.
I'll talk real quick. I guess I don't really have a specific question or anything, but I worked with Casey a little while back on getting this started in Hastings, one of the districts I work in, and it's just awesome to get especially our young kindergarten, first graders that are using Chromebooks, to have quick access directly to a site that the teacher needs them to get to with a single click. It's just, I don't know, it just makes it so much easier. So if you're having a hard time grasping like how this actually will help your students, it's a great piece to have. So sorry, I don't have a specific question
Keith.
for you, but
oh no, Keith, that's awesome. I'm glad glad it's going well, and that's I think one of the biggest takeaways here is that it helps efficiency. And if we can give any time back to teachers in the classroom, students in the classroom, that'd be awesome. And I've seen this in that K2 environment, cut down minutes off the time it takes kids to get somewhere. And any time we get back to the students or to another activity, that's gonna be awesome. Thank you, Keith. Anyone else willing to share during this time?
Amanda, go ahead if your hand's up, it looks like, if you have something to say.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Ann?
Yep,
All
we can hear you.
All right, great. Casey, about how long does it take? I mean, you might have already said that. Like, if you're just doing one or two, how long does this process take? Minutes?
Okay, so it probably depends on your comfort level. Like when I worked with Keith out in Hastings, we actually went out there and we spent some time. And like the first time you do one, it does take quite a bit of time. But for me, I can do this process in 5 minutes. So that's a little misleading because it takes 5 minutes to upload it, to get it ready to go to the developer dashboard in the Chrome Web Store. But then Google, it takes about 60 minutes for it to show up there before I can then push it out. So essentially, as we're going to walk through in this demo, you would do something, you prepare it, you go to the Google Chrome Web Store, you upload it, you have to wait about 60 minutes, and then you can then push it out to students very quickly within 40, a couple minutes on the Google admin side. But then again, that's, go ahead, Amanda.
Sorry. So do you do this like on a weekly basis, daily, whenever you get them? Because I could see it.
Kind of the way, Amanda, the way I've kind of worked with it is when I'm working with a district or a building, I kind of show it to the staff and then have them think about what are some of the things at your grade level, or your content area that you would want push here, because you're not going to want to create a custom app for something that the kids access every month. You're going to want something that is routinely accessed. So that's kind of what I did. I asked them, and then I got, those resources, and then I went and sat down and just did a chunk, spent like a couple hours doing a lot of it, and then got it all pushed out, came back, deployed them to the students, and then teachers will get some ideas later, like, hey, can we add this one? Hey, can we add that? And that's kind of how we go about it, if that helps.
No, it does. Thank you, Casey.
So, awesome. So I see a couple people in the chats that putting that they are interested in session, and Keith said he's already done a couple. That's awesome. All right, so we're going to scroll down. We're going to start talking about like what do we need first to kind of get started here. And so if you look at this table, here's kind of the preparation items that you'll need to make a custom app, because these will come into play later. So the first one is you're going to need an icon that's 128 by 128 pixels. And if you look here, this is kind of the description that Google gives you. If you're not like great at working with images and creating icons, what I suggest you do is just grab one, and then depending on what type of machine you have, or I know Keith, he uses Google Drawings to make his 128 by 128. Just take the icon. That's going to be what shows up on the Chromebook app. Carrie asked if she can use Canva. Definitely, you can use Canva. Yes, Keith, if you want to add the templates, you can just put it towards the bottom. So Keith has made some templates in Google Drawings. So if you're in a Google environment, he uses this for both the icon, the screenshot, and the promotional tile. I'm on a Mac, so I pretty much just use the preview on a Mac to just resize things and export as PNGs. So that's kind of what you want to do. And when you make that icon, which I'll show you how I do on my machine in a minute, we're going to name it 128.png. The reason is we're going to use a Chrome app builder from the Chrome Web Store that automatically puts this in there, and we want to replace it. Otherwise, your app will just have the Google Chrome icon. And again, we'll explain that a little bit later. You'll need a screenshot that's 1280 by 800 or 640 by 400. Again, I just take a screenshot of the website and then resize it, which again, I'll show you in a minute. Promotional tile, you need one 440 by 280. Google tells you not to use a screenshot. You can if you want. The apps we're creating here are going to be internal to our district or your district. So I'm not publishing these out to the web for other people to use. So that's why it can be. My tip is just take something you have, like the icon or the screenshot, and resize it. And then this other part is important. In order to publish on the developer's dashboard, you have to have a website that you can verify is yours. My tip is to create a Google site using the old sites and do it with the same account that you're going to be using to upload the app, and use the right to the app, and then it will show up when you go to publish your custom app. It will show up that Google site's recognized. So I'll kind of show you there when we get there. So kind of a recap, we're going to need an icon, we're going to need a screenshot, we're going to need a promotional tile, and a website that you can verify is yours, okay? And I'll show you where these come into play in the developer dashboard. All right, so something that's different than when Keith and I build these, and it's because I didn't want to get too technical about another way to do this, is you can use a Chrome app called Chrome App Builder. And so if you click on this link, it takes you right to the Chrome web store. And I've already downloaded it, so you'd have to add this to your Google account. But I've already downloaded this. It's called the Chrome App Builder, and it just kind of makes things a little bit easier on the side. There's another way to make your custom app using what's called a JSON file, and that's the way Keith and I do it. If you're interested in seeing that, just reach out to me later, and I can kind of go more into that aspect of it, just because I like a little bit of that control. But if you're going to use the Chrome App Builder, once you've added it, you can just launch it. And what this is going to do is it comes up with a pretty simplified app builder. I've used this before, so it kind of pulls in what I've done last time. For example, for one of my schools, I made a custom app for a student survey. So that way, if I wanted the kids to take the survey, it shows up on their Chromebook, they click it, they were able to take it, and then once the survey is done, I can then remove this custom app. So that's kind of one way I've used it with the district. So when you're using the Chrome App Builder, you have to name it, you have to give it a version. So I've done 3 student surveys, so that's why you're seeing this is version 0.3. All right, homepage. So again, we aren't building some crazy app that's, ourselves. We're just linking to another website. So what you do in the homepage is you just paste a website. So, maybe, let me grab one here. Just give me a second. I mean, I could even do it to my Google Doc here. So I'm going to go to this Chrome App Builder, and I'm just going to paste that. And you'll see in a second, it will load whatever your site is. So imagine this. I mean, you could do anything. It kind of gives you a preview of what the kids will kind of see. So I named it, changed the name of it so it's not the student survey. I'm going to call this version 1. And then you go down here and you can see you have some other options to, do I want the kids to be able to go back and forward? And so those are showing up here. Do I want to enable a home button so I can get back here? You can do that, and then it'll show up there's a home button. Do I want to enable the reload button, and so forth. So with this, one of the reasons I've used this specific Chrome App Builder is for kiosk mode on a Chromebook. I don't know if you've ever used the kiosk mode, but it allows you to have access to apps when the kids are signed out on that Chromebook. So I've created for for one district, I made an Illuminate online testing app because what it essentially does is it locks the browser. So teachers that were worried about kids getting into other things, well, when I made this custom app, they access it before they sign in, and then therefore it's locked browser and they're kind of stuck there. Now, I talked earlier about doing it a different way with the JSON file. The reason I like to do that is because then I can customize it and have the URL so they can go other places that are not locked. But for sake of time, we only had 45 minutes here. I kind of want to show the easiest method to getting started. Other options you have here is you have session idle timeout. You can change if you want. Return to home after so many minutes. So one way I've used these in other programs is if one school, they did voting for homecoming king and queen, and I made it a custom app. So I did a session log out here. And then if you want to actually use that kiosk mode, you're going to want to click this, okay, to allow that. And then you can, to finish this process, you can click Export Kiosk App. So I'm hoping that if you're using this Chrome App Builder, you realize that it's pretty easy. Hopefully you realize it's pretty easy. You create the name, the version, you put the website you're linking to here, you enable your buttons, and you know, you make these couple options, and then all you do is you export kiosk app. And there's one thing in my guide I talk about before you do this. What I suggest you doing is you create a folder somewhere on your computer, Chromebook, wherever, where you're going to want to dump this stuff. Okay, so you can do that ahead of time. So on my desktop, I'm going to just create, let me get out all my extra stuff here, create a folder, and I'm going to call this creating custom Google apps. So I have my folder that I'm going to then, when I go to my Chrome App Builder, I'm going to put my stuff here. Thank you, Keith, for sharing that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Chrome App Builder, and I'm going to hit Export Kiosk App, and it's going to say, where do you want to put your stuff, essentially. Now, it's going to look different on, you know, on your computer if you're not Mac-based or whatever. So I'm going to go and select my Creating Custom Google Apps folder and select it. And so now on my desktop is where I had my folder. I have a bunch of stuff show up in here. Okay, so here's where you see I have a bunch of things. You don't necessarily have to understand this, but the one thing that we're going to want to do is we need to replace that image, because the default image in this folder is the Google Chrome app logo. So you're going to want to, you know, the one that you can make in Canva, Google Drawings, somewhere else. You know, you can even search Google for, you know, a logo, if you will. That's what we're going to want to replace. So for example, if you look on my screen here, I've already kind of done that. So I have this image that I used for that student survey, and I renamed it 128. So again, I'm on a Mac, so it's a little bit different, but if on a Mac here, if I go to my tools, that's where I adjust my size. So I can adjust this to be my pixels, and since this is a square, I don't have to adjust the proportionality here or whatever proportionally. So it's 128 by 128. There's a lot of other variety of tools you can use. Keith shared his templates in Google Drawings. Kelly mentioned you can use Canva, and then you can put custom dimensions in the right corner of it. A lot of different ways that we can get 128 by 128. The other thing is a screenshot of your website or wherever you want to do. I'm on a Mac, so if I'm taking a screenshot, I do Command-Shift-4, and then I just highlight the area that I want. Okay, so I took a screenshot. Again, it's going to be different based on what you're using. And then I have my screenshot here, and since I'm on a Mac, I go to my tools, adjust my size, and make it 1280 by 800. Click OK. It's going to resize it. And then I like to kind of rename these. I already have one called 1280 by 800 here, but I'm going to put, this is to differentiate this. So I have that file. If I want to make a 440 by 280, I would copy this one and resize it or whatever. I'm not too worried about these promotional tiles and these screenshots, because I'm pushing these out to the students' devices. They're not going to go to the Chrome Web Store and look at all the details of my custom app. Okay, so I've talked for quite a few minutes here. Does anyone want to chime in, have questions, comments, or anything? Just raise your hand and we can let you say your piece, because I don't want to just drown everyone out and not give a chance for people to ask questions.
Hey, Casey.
Yes.
You mentioned kind of the example of doing it with Illuminate.
Yep.
Do you know if that would work with like Moodle? You know, I know teachers have asked that before. You know, hey, is there a way that you can restrict Moodle so that they're not going in and web searching stuff? And you know, I know there's some tools out there that you can do that, but I was just wondering if you set up the app to open up Moodle your Moodle site and then you restricted it, like you mentioned, if that would actually work or not.
The one thing I'd have to check, Steve, is when they're in, your Moodle environment. 'Cause your Moodle is going to have a custom URL to it. When they're in there, and I make a kiosk mode app, if they click on something that takes them outside, that's what I don't know. Now in Illuminate, and I'm doing online testing, there's nothing there that does link outside. So it's impossible for the students to click on something that will open up essentially a new tab. So that's something I'm definitely willing to try this week. And you can even give me your Moodle URL and say, Casey, can you test this out? And then I can give you some feedback, and I could email the entire group who's here, since I have your email addresses, to say yes or no. I just haven't tried it, if that makes sense, Steve.
Sure. Yeah, I can throw the information in there, and I can play around with it too. So.
Okay. Yeah. It's just something I'd be interested. So I haven't tried too much. And if you do it with the manifest JSON one that I've done before, then no, it's not going to lock it. But if you use this Chrome app builder, I think it might. So just because of the nature of this having the no URL bar up here for them to enter. So hopefully that helps. So yeah, we'll test it out this week. And like Liz said, she'd love to know the answer too. So that's something we'll get out there. Very good question.
Okay,
anyone else have anything they want to? You're welcome. Anything, other questions anyone wants to ask? Amanda, you got your hand up, Amanda. Do you want to unmute yourself and go? Or is that from earlier?
That was from earlier. Sorry, I forgot to put it down. But no, that was very
you're fine.
informative. Thank you.
What about you, Paul? I see your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just curious about other ideas folks might have for application of this. I'm just curious if we could have a little brainstorming session, or if you have that planned for later on.
Yes, Paul, very good you bring that up. In the bottom of this document, you can see there's like a note sharing part at the very last page. You guys can feel free to, during this entire session, just throw down ideas that you might want so other people can see them. And we'll have some time, hopefully towards the end, to talk about that real quickly. I know we only got about 17 minutes or so. So throw them down there so everyone kind of can see. If you refresh, Kaylee, or if you came late, I don't know. Everyone else, if I gave you guys editing access. So if you guys want to refresh, you should be off your, hit refresh, you should be off commenting. And if not, Kaylee, just go ahead and keep doing what you're doing, and I'll accept those later. Okay. Hopefully that helped, Paul, because I do want you guys to be able to share that, but I do want to get through this a little bit as well to kind of show you the remainder of the process, if you will. So if you guys have questions, just make sure you throw your hands up, and I'll try to see them throughout. Okay, so going back to where we were we did our Chrome app builder. I clicked export, so I don't really need that now because I have my folder here with all of these different files and folders in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this 128 PNG. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And I'm going to throw this other one in. So you could have it on your desktop, have it somewhere else. So all I've done is I replaced the one that was 128.png with another one called 128, which is a PNG. And the reason I do that is because inside of this folder, there's going to be this manifest document that's going to reference an icon, and that icon's name in that coding is 128. So that's why I had to make sure my new app was going to be, or icon's going to be 128. So once I have all that stuff in there, I have to compress this, because when I load this in the developer's dashboard, I can't do it without being compressed. It needs to be zipped. I'm on a Mac again. I know Keith does a lot of his stuff on a Chromebook, so there's some different add-ons he uses that will zip it. If you're on a Windows machine, you should be able to right-click and zip it as well. I'm going to right-click here on mine and click compress. Okay. All right, so now I have a zipped version of my stuff. That folder is now zipped. Okay. So going on our guide, I've zipped it, I'm now ready to go to the developer's dashboard, and I have a link right to it here. But if you go ahead and click on this, it will take you to the developer's dashboard. Now I have a bunch here. So these are a lot, you know, this is my Gennesee ISD one, which actually has less than some of my districts I work with. So I have some like online testing, EduPass, which is a PD portal, the teachers Illuminate portal, Outlook. I made one for Outlook because I didn't like the one that existed for whatever reason back in the day, and then for another one for EduPass. So that was just testing. So I'm going to go ahead and click this blue button, which is Add New Item. This is how you add something. So if you come here, you're not going to have, if you haven't done this before, you're not going to have a bunch of other ones. But I click Add New Item, and it takes me to this page, and there are screenshots of this in the guide. So here's where I have to upload my zip file. So I click Choose File. I then find it on my, you know, through searching on my computer. Mine's on my desktop. And I'm going to go ahead and click Open. So what that does is it will then upload in a second. It has 0 megabytes. I haven't uploaded yet of 479. It tells me my file size. I click Upload. It will then upload and then tell me that it's done. Once it's done, it automatically kicks you to the editing page of the custom app, if you will. And if you're looking at here, there's a lot of stuff we have to do. And that's why in my developer dashboard, I kind of talk about what those things are. We're going to upload the icon file again. This is where we upload that screenshot, that promotional tile. We verify we have a Google site. We're going to pick a category. I suggest academic resources. Select a language. I believe mine does this automatically, but I've created several custom apps. Thank you, Keith. Keith said I'm taking a step back here. In Google Drive, you can right-click as well and zip a folder. Thank you, Keith. Category, language, select unlisted for visibility options, okay? The reason this is important, and I'm going to show you where this is in a second on here, is because I don't actually own these sites that I'm making custom links to. So I can't publish it. I don't feel ethically comfortable, I don't even legally comfortable of making something and posting it out for everyone to see. So, you know, that's why I do it just unlisted, and so it's in my own domain, and then I have the ability to push this out to other ones. Okay. All right, so then here, we're going to go through, and I'm just going to actually go through this and do those things. So I'm going to go ahead and icon. I'm going to upload a new icon. I know I don't have one specifically for this, but in fact, I'm going to go into the one that I've done, go back into my folder, go grab my image, and grab that image here and hit upload. Okay, and it will take a second to refresh, and then it'll show my icon. Liz, I'm going to pause because I think this is important, this question. She talked about for staff, and Liz, I have done this for staff as well and pushed out the email, the student information system, like plan book, and all of those types of things to teachers, so they have their quick links as well. You're going to come here. I'm going to put that 1280 by 800 image that I have here on my desktop. It takes a second to load it, so it just kind of happens to, you just got to wait a second. Same thing, promotional tile. I'm going to go upload mine, my 440 by 280. Click upload. And from here, you can see now I'm done with that, and I scroll down. Now this is important. The first time you're in here, if you've never made a Google site, you're going to have here, you might not have anything, and you actually have to verify your website. And if you're using like your school website or something like that, there's actually like, it's more complicated to verify that you own some of those. So that's why I suggest just go to sites.google.com and make one. So I have one here that's called Private Apps GISD. So I quickly made a Google site, published it, and all I put on like the front of that site is this website is only used to create private apps or custom private apps for the school district. just kind of give a disclaimer. And if you've already done something before, you can just kind of pick. So for my ISD one, I just had a couple. So there's one that I can prove that I own. So I select it. Categories, so I'm going to do that academic resources here. Pricing, again, this is for our district that we're making this for, so it's free. You can go ahead and select off all regions if you want, or just leave them. I suggest no one make mature content for their district, so leave that unchecked, of course. So I skip these, come down to here, and make this unlisted. If you don't make something unlisted, it's going to tell you that there's a one-time developer fee for $5 required to verify your account and publish items. I've never made anything public here, so I just do unlisted. And then on the right-hand side, there is publish changes. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. So once I got all those things, if I have an error, it will tell me that I have an error. So I'm going to say publishing, creating a custom app, sure. Go ahead and click OK. So here's where it will tell you first that we can't, it's going to take up to 60 minutes. Okay, so that's something that if you have a bunch of these, typically I make them, you go through this process, make them. I wait a couple hours and I go through and then go to the admin console just because you don't want to, be stuck in doing nothing for 60 minutes. I'm sure we all have plenty of other things to work on. So imagine the 60 minutes is up, okay? So then we're going to go to the admin console. And inside the admin console, we have to then go to a certain specific place, which I outline in our guide. It's in the device management. Hold on, I got to sign in because I've been signed out for a while now. So I'm going to go to my Chrome management now. All right, and then you have user settings. So what's nice about how we're pushing these Chromebook apps out, it technically doesn't matter if that device is going to be, say you have a device that's not owned by the district, a kid has their personal Chromebook. If they log into it with their school credentials, these apps will show up, which is kind of nice because we're doing it by user settings. And then you kind of just pick what group you want. So I'm at the top level here. I'm not actually going to push these out. But you have a apps place down here, apps and extensions. So you can kind of scroll down to that when you're in there. And you'll see that you have force installed apps and extensions, and you have pinned. Okay, pinned is going to be the one that pins it to their shelf on the on their Chromebook. And you have force installed, which means it forces installs it for that user, but it doesn't necessarily pin it to their shelf on their Chromebook. I technically like to do both. I like to force install it, and then I also like to pin it if I want to take it that next step further. So I'm going to go down to pinned apps and extension. If I scroll over, you'll see a manage pinned apps. Go ahead and click on that. And so you have Chrome Web Store domain apps. Okay, so this is important. I didn't address this explicitly earlier. We don't want to create a custom domain app if one already exists out there. So you always want to go to the Chrome Web Store first and search and be like, is there a Kahoot app? Is there an Illuminate app? Is there some? Search for them first before you spend the time to create a custom one. For example, I made an Outlook one because I wanted it to take them to a very specific place where maybe the one in the Chrome Web Store didn't take them to. So if I click on domain apps, you'll see all the ones I've created here. Now you're not going to see the one that I just made because I have to wait that 60 minutes. If you click details, it'll kind of give you to take you to that Chrome Web Store to take the details. But all I have to do is click add here, okay? And then save. And now the next time, like the kid doesn't even have to relog into their Chromebook if you're doing it. I say student, but it could be a staff member. Once their Chromebook kind of like syncs back with the domain, it will automatically show up. Now, sometimes it might take a second, and you can tell the kid sign out, sign back in, and then it should show up. But all I have to do is click save, and then that will push that out to that set of users in your Google admin console. So that's that part of it. Do we have any questions here? Anyone have any questions or anything they want to add to the conversation? Feel free to raise your hand or just unmute yourself and start talking. All right, Ann, can you hear me? Just because I'm not getting any feedback, I want to make sure I'm still heard.
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, good. Just want to make sure I didn't talk for about 10 minutes and then no one said anything. And
no, you did such an amazing job that looks like people are filling in the piece here.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like I'm on the shared notes math curriculum site. That's perfect. If you have a collection, Matt talks about a collection of PLC resources. I mean, in reality, I mean, you could make this to a shared Google Drive folder, and so that your staff, if you have this, they click on it, it takes them right to that resource. Or if you have some other type of educational resource, that's awesome. Kaylee's got one for learningodyssey.com. I haven't checked it out, but we'll see. I mean, when I sat down with Keith, we kind of went through and we made a spreadsheet of ones we wanted for the district and grade levels and checked the Chrome Web Store to say, did they exist? And we said yes or no. So we did that kind of first. We went through, we made our list that we wanted by grade level, by building, and then we decided, do they already exist, yes or no? So we went through and searched there before we even started creating, and then we put those through and started to kind of make them. But I mean, I know for Montrose, where I'm at, I mean, we made one for Renaissance Learning so the kids could take their STAR stuff. I made a MobiMax one, just whatever type of tools that the teachers wanted those kids to have quick access to quite a bit. And one of the things too, that once they make them, depending on your password policy in your district, the first time those K through 2 kids log in and they type it in, you could have it remember their password so that the next time they click on that, the password autofills and they can log in. So I know that's a security thing, so you want to look at how do you guys think about password management, in your district. But I know for the districts who have a little more lenient one, that saved them minutes. The kindergartner clicks on it, their password's already stored, and they just get started on their stuff. So thank you guys for sharing. You guys take a look at those. I know I'll probably take some time early next week to kind of work on this, Steve, because you wanted to kind of look at that. One of the cool things that Keith and I have done, this is just because we collaborate and stuff, you can take that zip file if it's something that's going to be used at a different district and give them that zip file. So if people are interested in using the online student Illuminate one, I technically can just give them the zip file and the screenshots, and they can go do the rest themselves to add it to their individual district. So if we have things that are cross district, we can do some of those things. So, we got about 1 minute, so anyone want to have some final thoughts or anything like that? I know I'm going to take some time here in the next minute to throw these names down here in a random name generator, and the same thing for the Google form up there, and you guys will be told. I think Kelly will do it if you guys have won the Amazon gift card. Is that true, Ann? It'll be Kelly?
That, or you can do it right now and we can share it out,
okay.
or I can,
okay.
can wait.
I'm going to take some time after the this time after the session ends and kind of throw it, because I want to make sure it's truly random. And
Sounds good.
I believe you'd be doing it, Ann. I just want to make sure. Yep. And then we'll get that out to you. So anyone have any last thoughts? I appreciate you guys coming to the session. I just know in my role, this has made things incredibly efficient for students and staff. And my goal is, if you guys came here, you guys can feel that same way and either talk to your tech directors or do it yourself. And feel free to reach out to me at some other point. If you try some stuff and you get stuck, this doesn't have to be the end of the conversation here. And I just make sure that in my description up here, I'm going to put my email.
Hey, Casey,
So you guys have that.
I'd be interested in Kaylee's question.
Okay. What was that one again? Can you read just to refresh my?
What if the teacher
Oh,
is on
desktop. Okay.
Yep.
So up until November 30th, you could do this. Google changed their policy with that. If you look at my screen here, I had done that. So this goes straight, takes me Outlook. This takes the EduPass. But Google decided November 30th that they were going to end that. So that was kind of a little disappointing to me, Kaylee, because I had that set up. But now you can't push new ones there. So my old ones work for a year or two, they said, but we can't do new ones. So that's one of the tricky things is that was awesome, and then now I can't do it. So yeah, it's definitely a downside. That might be where you just create custom, the same thing, just make shortcuts on the desktop that take them to those same places with the same icons. It's another level of, you have to touch things a little bit more, but you can have your tech team do that. So, any other follow-up questions?
Good.
You know what, I do have a question in regard to that, Casey.
Yep.
If you build this, will it be available, and I stepped away for a second, so you may have already asked this question, will it be available in the Chrome web store?
The way you mean, like, okay, so the Chrome web store, you can have it where it's available for your district, and that's when I did it, when I did unlisted.
Okay.
I'm not publishing these because I don't own these websites that I'm creating these custom apps for. So that's why I did unlisted. It will be, you can make it available for your domain when they go to for whatever schools, they will be there. But they won't be there for people outside your domain.
Okay, but that would be a way to get around it, right? They could add that web app to their Chrome web apps on the Chrome browser, right?
I think after November 30th, any new one will not work. November. So it used to be like that, and I actually did the force install. That used to work on the Chrome web browser. Now it doesn't.
Okay.
I don't know if they're developing a new tool down the line or what, but they said it's going to, old ones will stop working within a year or two. I can't remember what that exact date is. So sorry about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Casey. We really enjoyed it. And I think it's helpful because it's not something I can do personally, but I would definitely going to pass this stuff along to my peeps. So I appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for coming. Sorry it wasn't like a super collaborative one. It was more of a demo.
It's good.
But appreciate you coming, and you guys have a great rest of the day.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Stop recording.